you know about me? I seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? I done it all, just want it all. Oh, what you know about me? I seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? Oh, what you know about me? Oh, what you know about me?
Hey everybody, welcome back to More Than the Title. I'm your host as usual, Jarrett Thomas, Chief Revenue Officer at Outside the Box Digital. And you know I got my brother, my brethren, your favorite CEO, Chadeo. What's good, baby? I'm good.
I'm tired.
I'm tired.
I'm tired. I'm exhausted, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I've been on my getting back in physical fitness journey, and it's kicking my ass. I got a Jordan face. I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, it's peaches and cream and it's so easy. It's kicking my ass.
On top of lifing. You know.
On top of lifing, you know what I mean? But you know what we always say, man, no struggle, no progress, right? So yes, you know, I'm a little upset that I'm sore and I'm tired, but guess what? I'm loving the results, right? And it's getting back to what it's getting back to, because remember, Jarrett, when we went to South Beach, I was disrespected. I was told my back wasn't backing.
Yeah, it was bad.
You know what I'm saying? I was told my back wasn't backing. I will not be disrespected like that this year.
That's it. And we're taking all sponsorships.
Like that this year.
Taking all sponsorships. Wait till we get back. We out there. We taking all
Gatorade, get ready. Gatorade, get ready. We got a couple commercials in line.
You know what I'm saying? And with that said, you already know, man. Yeah. Shout out to y'all, because we know we have an amazing episode for Women's History Month. It's one of our last weeks, man. We've had some amazing guests, and this week is no different, and today is no different. But also shout out to you guys, the followers, the listeners, supporters across every platform, from Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. You guys, we are having one of our biggest months in terms of views and viewership and subscribers across the platform. So it's all thanks to you guys, and we truly appreciate y'all. The feedback helps us on a day like today when we're tired, lifing. It helps us to keep going, y'all, and that really means a lot to us, straight up, man. So we appreciate y'all.
Use your signature words, man. We growing and glowing.
We growing and glowing, man.
Growing and glowing, baby.
I don't know if I was glowing today, but I'm going. I'm growing and going. That's a fact.
That is a fact. I ain't gonna
what I mean? But, and also, you know, lastly, shout out to our distribution partners, the Live Podcast Network, the first women-owned, Black-owned podcast network in the world, y'all. Shout out to Angel Levis and the team. This is for Black content creators such as More Than the Title. And if you want more Black content from different podcasters, please make sure y'all download the app. The QR code's right there. It's a lot of really dope shows on there. Make sure y'all support, man. If we don't support our own, who will? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. If we don't support our own, we got no goddamn business asking for support, period.
Uh-oh. That was a
message.
I'm just saying, right? Stop passing the baton, right? You know, we keep talking about changing the culture. Well, changing the culture starts with you changing yourself.
Message. Are you going today?
I'm just saying, right? So, you know, we up here and we do what we got to do, right? We not gatekeeping. We giving out the information. So you know what that's called? It's called leading by example. Leading from the front, because you can't lead from the rear, right? You understand what I'm saying? Right.
This guy. Guy got 3 messages in a minute. What is up with this guy? What's up with that guy? Judy, I don't know what's up with this guy.
Real quick, before we introduce our guest, I just want to give a big shout out, man. Again, happy birthday to our guy, man. You know, we got invited down, you know, to his party, man, and we just had such a phenomenal time, man. And we are just honored to have been a part of his life celebration. You know what I mean? He has the book out, Invisible Generals. You know, he's been on the show already, and you're definitely gonna hear from him and hear from us. And we're gonna do a lot of big things coming up in the future. So, you know, once again, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, my guy.
It was a party. I ain't gonna lie. It was a good old time. We had a good time. Huh?
So we partied.
No.
He gets one of these.
Happy birthday, homie.
We appreciate you. That's for you, brother. You know what I'm saying? With that said, you know, let's get it going, baby.
Let's start the show.
Let's make it happen, y'all. Let's introduce this queen. She is well-respected thought leader in human resource management, who until September 2022 was the head of culture and engagement at WPP. Earlier leadership roles include Global Chief Talent Officer at Wunderman Thompson, Chief Talent Officer at IPG Mediabrands, North America, Digitize, People Leadership roles at Time Inc., ABC Disney, and Planned Parenthood. She recently established her own consulting company, JLC Consulting, to help build inclusive cultures across the ad industry. She's also on the board of directors for Bridge, which is an organization dedicated to addressing the gap in belonging, representation, inclusion, diversity, and equity in media, marketing, and the advertising industry. But also her most prideful accomplishments are being the wife to Jonathan Jackson and mother to college senior Miss Jonay Jackson. Let's introduce the queen, Miss Judy Jackson.
There it is.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, queen. Thank you.
You know, we understand you're married, right? But you know, your last name is Jackson. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Your last name Jackson.
That's my husband's name, though.
Oh,
You took his name, right?
Yes, I took his name.
You know what I mean?
That's how it came together.
Name is Jackson.
That's on the real. Black love, black love, baby.
Mama love.
You know, we're the JJ family. John Jackson, Judy Jackson, Janae Jackson. His mom is Jean Jackson. His dad is Jack Jackson. Okay, so
Oh, wow.
We don't have to talk about that now. No, we don't have to talk about it.
I like it.
Jay-
Continuity.
5, 6 JJs in there. Everybody JJ.
that's
JJ. Come here, bring the juice.
Then nobody can have the nickname JJ because you
That's
walk
right.
about Thanksgiving like JJ.
everybody-
Talking about me? JJ passed the syrup. Wait, who got? I got the biscuits. You must be talking about him over there. No, listen. You know what?
You guys are hilarious.
I actually love that. Right. I find it fascinating, and I often wondered where did that start culturally, right? Because I was trying to do like some research. I understand where the junior lineage started. You know what I mean? I often wondered in what culture started like the similar naming, so that that's like a big part of society now. You know what I mean? A lot of parents will name their child if their name starts with a G, then they'll put together some GG. All the kids' name is G, or all the name is J.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm curious I'm gonna do some more research because I was actually trying to find out like the origin of that, and I haven't been able to find out like where that started.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us it was simply. I mean, I think it's just a cute thing. It's a way to sort of build a sense of community in your own short little family, and it makes you just feel a little bit more connected somehow. I don't know, but that's us, the Jacksons. But we don't have that Jackson money. But
No, listen, I love it because you can play off of that, and when we talk about community, right? You can play off of that because look, when you go to when you do events like family get-togethers, right? Thanksgiving, Christmases, where everybody kind of like dress alike, you can have the custom shirts, and they can all say like JJ, and I think that's dope, and that definitely can bring what do you call it? A family reunion when you do the big one.
Yeah.
And that's dope, right? You guys can do something like that, and I think that would be like dope if you haven't done
it. Nice idea. That's good. I like that. I like that.
Shout out to the people still having family reunions.
Yeah.
Shout
I love a family
y'all.
reunion, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I think we're not having them enough. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Yeah. My family still has. We have a small one. We have a small family, but we still have them for the last, I guess, 10 years. Even through COVID, every year we get together in August around the 19th of August, which is my wedding anniversary. I'm sort of like the matriarch, so we all come together for like 4 days, and it's usually something that people can drive to because of expenses, but we have 4 quality days together, and we've been doing that for 10 years.
That's beautiful.
I ain't gonna lie, I might want to be a part of your family. I can't get my family together for 4 days.
4 days, 4 hours.
4 days? My family 4 days together? Somebody get locked up.
Yeah, but see, for me, we don't know this story, but I lost my parents when I was a teenager, and then a few years later, and I was taken in by my sisters, and then a few years later, my sisters passed away from cancers they were in their early 30s. So I ended up helping to I raised one of their kids, and my other sister, I helped her husband with raising their child. So when you go through that kind of thing at a young, and I was in my, a teenager, but when you go through those kinds of losses, family, the small crew that you have becomes somewhat insular and somewhat protective because you know what loss is like, so at an early stage. Not to put a heavy burden.
No, we love that.
That's yeah. So it really means a lot to us because when I see my nieces at our little reunions, I see my sisters, and it just becomes somewhat of a spiritual, without naming it that, of a spiritual, gathering in a sense, because we can feel that they're all there with us. All right, that's too heavy.
That's dope.
I love it.
In a minute.
We got to get it out till we get to the, you know what I mean? We got to let it happen.
It is a part of you, Ms. Jackson.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And we have to embrace, and we talked about this. Danny Benson was on the show before this, and we talked about this. You cannot have the person you are today without the negative experiences. You would be fraudulent if you tried to only build on the positive experiences and said that the negatives had nothing to do with build the character that you are today. It is a blend of both, negative and positive. So without that pain, without that struggle, you might not have never bonded with the family the way that you did. So, it's unfortunate, but there is a silver lining to that came from it. So we,
that's true. That's
true. We want to acknowledge that, and I think it's dope, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I would prefer we did that instead of seeing each other at funerals. I'm just being honest with you. Like, I think that's becoming the norm. Like, there's no more family even if it's like every 3-4 years. I just feel like I don't hear about them anymore.
Yeah.
The only time you get with your family is when it's bad news, somebody's sick or somebody has passed away. And it's, let me give you the funeral arrangements and you're meeting there. Some moment. Who wants to eat like that?
And then you mean to, you say those things like, we're going to get together, and then you don't, and
You don't, you front, yeah.
And time passes, so.
Time passes, life starts life, and then back to regular scheduled programming.
All right.
That's real.
Well, technically, Jarrett, I got to correct you. Life continues life, and it didn't start because it just never stopped.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
It never stopped, right? Because unfortunately, and this is what we talk about not going back to work, we're just numbers. We're just numbers, right? I'm number 1, 4, 5, whatever. You're number 2, 3, 5, and that's what we are. So yeah, a family member might have passed away, but you know what our employer said? Yeah, my condolences, but who's gonna do this work?
I know.
Find a replacement when you out, because if not, you can't take off.
I know.
And if you do,
bereavement, if you're lucky,
you
get 7 days most bereavement in tech that I've seen.
But see,
maybe 14 if you're lucky, if you're really good org.
Again, we're talking a job that has bereavement, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs don't even have bereavement in the job.
Yeah, but what Jarrett and I were talking earlier, and I was telling him I did a talk last night about leading with love.
Okay.
And ideally, you don't need bereavement policies. Ideally, you don't even need sick policies. What you need is human leaders, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm a humane leader. I know that you suffered whatever you suffered in your life or recently, and I would say take the time you need. You have policies so that people have some semblance of treating people with dignity. But candidly, if we treated people the way they deserve to be treated, we wouldn't need policies.
Baby for that.
Definitely screaming baby.
Definitely get the baby. Definitely get the baby for that.
Yeah, and that's some of the kinds of things that I try to do all throughout my career in HR and certainly in my company now, and trying to make leaders be more human and recognize that it's part of their legacy. It's part of how they want people to perceive them, and they'll get something from that. So and years ago when I used to talk about leading with love, I used to get a little embarrassed by it, like, oh God, what are people going to think about me talking about love in the workplace? That's sort of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now it's a bit more acceptable. And since I don't work for a company, it's a lot easier for me to talk more freely, just like, you are. But, love is, doesn't mean being soft, but love should transcend, I believe, in all that we do. I mean, you guys are giving love by giving people this space to share their story. That's love. So the world needs love. We got something.
I couldn't even get it.
We talk about it all the time, and we do get love, but it's a reason why we do what we do, and the reason is
I do it for the children.
We do it for the children.
That's a fact, though, man. That's a fact.
No, but we talk about it all the time, Judy. We call it the human being effect. Let's get back to being a human. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, do you think that like COVID experience helped people get back to being more of a human being?
No.
I think it did. I think it did slightly intact. Slightly, but then it turned off. I think that first year from March to maybe October when things started to open up, then it started to get like, no. That first from March to June, you could be a little late on a Zoom call. You could do this. You can have your camera off. It was a little more acceptable, right? If your number wasn't hit, there was maybe some leeway and stuff like that. We're trying to figure it out. Leaders are taking pay cuts. There was a lot of stuff going on, and we were leading like humans. And then George Floyd happened. Then money was being poured into the Black community. All these other things, right? And then it stopped.
Yeah.
Should just stop. It was no cooler time to be Black around the George Floyd. Oh my! It was so much money getting poured in, sponsors, investors, viewership, everything was up.
Yeah. I think COVID just made us come face to face with two things: our mortality and just the atrocities that we're suffering as people on a global scale. I really don't think it really did anything more than that impactfully, right? It put you in touch with your mortality because a lot of us lost a lot of people very close to us. Right? Yeah. That was the first thing. And then you realize, holy crap, I am not the only one going through this. There are millions of families going through this. And you kind of just, but I just think that, other than that, you know what I mean? I think other than that, you know what it is? And I don't want to be funny about this, but this is the way I feel. I feel like we have gotten to the point that we have gotten to because we struggled for so long, right? So when you struggle for so long, the fight was embedded in you as my day-to-day, we have no choice. But the problem with getting better and progression is once you start to get the choice, a lot of times once people start to do better, they choose not to fight anymore. You understand what I'm saying? They choose not to fight anymore. They choose not to have the same empathy anymore because they feel like, well, I don't have to anymore. No, you don't have to because you're not being forced to, but you should. But the problem with people is when you give them that option, you run into the people that's going to still do it, but you're going to run into a lot of people that will not still do it. And I think that's what happened, right? We were good, like let's say what Jarrett said, 6 months, right? But then what happened the whole year, and then year 2, then year 3, then what happened after that, right? Now that we're kind of through it, it's right back to programming as usual.
Yeah, actually, in some cases, a step back.
Or a step back, you see?
Yeah.
What would you say when some ways we step back? Just curious.
Well, I see, unfortunately, maybe it's because I'm in advertising, I see a lot of my, DE&I leaders have lost their jobs.
Yes.
The funding has gone away. There's a program that I created when I was at WPP, and I brought the IP with me for Black women. And it was like a sponsorship program. They had to have a CEO as a sponsor that was really focused on whatever it is that they wanted for their career, even if that career wasn't within the WPP family. And so they were really trained to put these women first. So a lot of those programs have now become, they still do programs, but it's like, we don't want to do just Black women. We want to do people of color. We want to do all women. It's almost like people are afraid to say that I want to focus on Black people. Like that's somewhat taboo. And then, I was at a meeting with Bridge, the board that I'm on for DEI, and they had a presentation showing how advertisers were now leaning more toward using lighter skinned people in their ads versus, we went through a phase of where we would show color, real, Black people of darker skin. And now it's moving back in the other direction as they're monitoring advertisers. So that's what I mean, that, between people losing jobs, between the spending and funding, between the language changing and being very careful about singling out Black people as a group to honor, to focus on. We've stepped back in some ways.
No, that's definitely real. I definitely want to get more into the DEI because there's definitely a lot happening right now. It's even trending on X right now and all that stuff. But you also said something that's interesting. You said you took the IP from the program that you created from WPP. Was that something that you just did on your own? Is something you had to negotiate with the company? I'm just curious how that happened.
Right. So in 2019, before the pandemic, before George Floyd, there were a lot of studies by McKinsey, Seramount, not other companies that focus on DEI, studies about Blacks in corporate America and how they were faring. You've probably seen some of them. And then they also focused even a little deeper and focused on Black women in corporate America, leaving more quickly than any other group, but leaving silently. So I started to study when I went into the global culture role. I started studying the habits of Black women in terms of work, and they were leaving. And they're the least sponsored, the least mentored. So I approached WPP in my role and asked if I'd like to do a program that's focused on Black women, and particularly not a mentorship. I want them to get sponsors of CEOs across this 100,000 people corporation. So they said, even 2019, we can't really invest in Black women. We can invest in doing something for people of color, the same language that, was popular. And I said, Black women have a particular concern and they need a particular sense of community and a sense of support from one another. So I said, I will do the program as a pilot with my own money. Are you okay with that? Message. And my CEO, I had a good relationship with him. I'd worked with him before. And he said, sure, go ahead. And I did it. I developed a program. I, hired some consultants, one consultant to help me with designing it. And it's a, 6-month program. I had good relations with CEOs, convinced them to be sponsors, and then it became a thing. So when I decided to leave, and we did it in Latin America, we did it in the US, we did it in the UK. And when I decided to leave, my CEO was Mark Reed. He was a great CEO in my mind. He was my sponsor, and I said, I want to be out on my own, but I don't have the confidence. I don't know if I'm going to get business. And he said, your program, you can have the IP. Take that with you. You created it, and that was.
That was the message.
And I even, used, and they also became a client. So wow. I did a program like that. I did a program called Ascend, which I own the IP for Asian Americans because of the model minority and them not having their voice, and a different issue. And I do believe there is power in bringing people that are alike together versus mixing us all up. I think it brings a sense of safety. I think it changes the conversation to be more real. So that's how it happened. They allowed me, because of the relationship, to take my product with me.
That's amazing. That's fire. I love it. I love it. Shout out to Marguerite. Shout out to the leadership, right? Because he could have easily, it could have went a bunch of different ways. It could have went a bunch of different routes.
It's about the relationships, in terms of that conversation about human, when I look at my job, and culture, HR, I not only work with the people that I work with, but the CEOs or leaders that I work with. My job is to make them better. My job is for them to define their legacy. My job is to help them understand, how do you want people to regard you? What do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room? And so I take that very seriously, and eventually they really begin to trust me and see me less as, the HR person or from a different department or from culture. They see me as a coach, an advisor, a trusted partner. And there's still people that I talk to today. And they're people that have given me business since I've left. So, I think, sometimes people look at, don't realize how they have to create those relationships with the bosses or leaders they work with. Those are just as important, and to treat them as people, just like you want them to treat you as a person. Any relationship is two-way.
Two-way street. Two-way street.
But how do we?
Do you agree?
I totally agree. But let me pose this question for you. You can only develop a relationship with somebody that is giving you the inkling that they want to develop a relationship with you. And herein lies the problem. First of all, to develop a relationship with a C-suite individual, you have to be in the room to even begin to even have a conversation. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're not in the room, not to say that they're not respectful, but they're so busy just passing, you're never going to get the opportunity to actually start to have that conversation. That's number one. But more importantly, it is truly based on the individual themselves and how they portray themselves, the energy that they project to even make you feel comfortable, to make you think that the relationship can even be a possibility. Because if a person shows you right off the back, listen, I know you work, just go do your job, and you know that kind of energy, like you're never gonna want to try to, you'll do your job, but you will. You got John, you want to say something?
I was saying, no, you're right on both things, but I also think it's different in tech too, right? Like for instance, right, when I was reaching out to the CEO, like how I got episode 12 is Tom Kaiser of Hootsuite. So we're in a 1,000-person organization, right? I'm not C-suite, I'm not in the room, I'm not even on the block. You know what I'm trying to say? But it's how do I make myself valuable, right? How do I position myself? And it's just people we got to understand is that they're just people like you said, Judy, they're just people like us, right? You could reach out and say, hey, this is what I thought about your presentation. You had a town hall today. I might have took a nugget from what you've said in the town hall. I might have shot that back at you, right? And now we're developing a relationship. I might have had an idea. I might have slagged you. Something like that. So there's ways to do it. We just can't be afraid of doing it. Now, if they do what you say, that's a different issue, right? But we still got to keep shooting our shots because that's what we have to do.
And a lot of us are afraid to do that. I mean, there's fear, and you feel that, they're that level. I can't do that. But to be a bit, to be bold, to be bold. And also to your point, Chad, like I remember early in my career, there was a leader that I tried to get involved. This is, like 2012 or whatever. And I tried to get this leader to get involved with this diversity effort. And I kept trying. And finally, my CEO said, why are you still trying? Spend your time with the people who want to do this. Don't spend your time with the people you're trying to convince, because that's a waste of your energy, and that person's never going to get there. So, there's a balance. You have to make choices and realize that there's some battles you're not going to win. And I think for me, I've learned to give some things to just give up on.
That's right.
No, the fear part is absolutely correct. I actually was going to bring that up in further down the line. But my point to that is, and it was just very basic, is we have to stop being afraid, because guess what? We're being told no anyway. We're being fired anyway. We're not getting promoted anyway. So what are you being afraid about? It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like, so I was gonna say that. So about you guys chiming in and saying that was a perfect segue for that. But let me add this into it and watch this. And this is a perfect example. So you had a great situation with your CEO, right? You built, and he let you have the IP, blah, 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 blah. Now here's that flip side, right? Here's that flip side. Jarrett started a podcast called Rankable. For this, right? This is what segued into it. Jarrett, please tell the story of Rankable and your boss and things of that. Please.
Yeah, so for long story short, we was working at an agency, right? So this is when COVID happened. This is when the LinkedIn thing. So I became a personal, I developed a personal brand on LinkedIn. We started getting hundreds of thousands of impressions, and we ended up starting generating leads as a result of what we were doing on LinkedIn. So we ended up, once the pandemic hit, we hit a big deal based off of our relationships and what we did on LinkedIn. And then we started the podcast. I'm like, look, we went from an $800,000 pipeline to zero. Went from Jarrett, let's talk to Tuesday, to Jarrett, I don't know if I'm gonna have my job next week. And we're like, how do I tell that to my CEO? So what can we do? We got all these relationships. I'm visible on LinkedIn. You're visible in your space. Let's pull our resource together and get people who we want to sell to on the show and make it fun. And maybe they'll throw us a bone.
Nice.
So people didn't want to get sold to, but they did want to talk about themselves. They did want to talk about their services. They did want to promote, and they did want to build a relationship. And then we ended up closing $2 million by the time I finished there. And it was through a culmination of the podcast, other things, right? But when I got too big, like when my personal brand became on an equal or kind of like, whoa, people are coming into the website saying they want to speak to Jarrett, it became an issue. You know what I mean? And then when I left, he wanted to take the IP, and it's like, I created it. I'm 50 episodes in. Right? We came up with the name. We did it over YouTube. Like, I'm getting all the guests. I'm booking them. I'm scheduling. Only thing you're doing is paying for the technology, the software they're recording out of. That's it. So for you to keep it now, but shout out to them, shout out to bro, because it was a learning experience, right? Now we created our own IP, and shout out to them because y'all got 43,000 views. We got 250,000 views. I didn't want to throw that in there.
But I just want to say something.
Shout out to y'all.
I just want to say something.
No, joking.
He's the only one shouting you out because I'm not shouting you out because that's nasty work.
It is.
It's disgusting. Hear it from my mouth. We can play good cop, bad cop. I'm the bad cop. That's nasty work. You interview a person, you make us write resumes, you make us jump through fucking hoops to get a job because you want the air quote best candidate for the job. You want us to come in full of energy, motivated to do this thing right. When my cousin came in and did everything he was supposed to do and more, and you rewarded him by firing him.
Oh gosh.
No, I left. I quit.
Yeah,
but still, same difference. It was the
same thing, right?
Right.
They put you in a position.
Back against the wall.
Thank you. You were in a position where you wasn't feeling like you were appreciated.
Right.
You were in a position where now where there was no ceiling before, you now feel like your head is already at the ceiling. There's no more growth. It becomes a toxic work environment. So whether you walk away or they fire you, eventually that relationship is gonna sour out, right?
Yeah.
And look, Judy, when it's time to walk away, when the guy knows, yes, it's not my cousin built this and my cousin did that and my cousin did that. You think he gave him the IP and said, you know what? At least take the IP. You built this thing, man. I wish you luck. Good luck with that. No, he wanted to keep it or he kept it. You see?
And nasty wanted me not to go to another agency for 5 years.
See?
5 years?
5 years.
See?
Didn't sign no paper. I'm like, you kidding me? Get out of here.
See?
And it's one of our own, unfortunately.
See? Right. No. Don't lower your voice when you say it.
No, it's one of our own. And it's just like it sucks that it's one of our own.
Say it with your chest.
No, it sucks that it's one of our own. Unfortunately, it was one of our damn own.
See?
Oh well, I'm kind of speechless. I'm sorry.
Right. But that's what we do to each other.
On a regular basis. So when we have these conversations about do I think it brought us closer and things of that nature, that's why I say no.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because not all of us, but some of us can't get out of our own way.
Yeah.
It's still the me factor. It's still what can you do for me? They don't care about the culture. They care about themselves in the moment, and that's it. They don't care about consequences. They don't care about none of that. They care about what can I get for myself or my immediate people that I feel like I bond with. That's my family, etc. And that's it. Everybody else is like out of sight, out of mind. They don't care.
So I have two questions. Can I? Do you don't mind if I ask questions? So Jarrett, what do you feel? And then I have another question for Chad. Jarrett, what do you feel you learned or took away from that experience? With not getting your IP and being encouraged to make the step that you took. Like, so what's different for you now as a result of that?
Like what it told me is not to put trust in our own people like that.
Oh, God.
I'm just keeping it real, like because I came in there this is the first time I worked at a Black organization, Black owned, right? I came in there as a senior account executive, just left the company that we helped bring public. We brought one of the technologies to go to the market, and I was the only salesperson on it. It was a social software I was killing. Then got left there, came to a Black organization. I'm like, cool, we're gonna do it. He gave me the opportunity to do what I need to do because I'm like, look, you're on Twitter, you have a big brand. I want to build a brand. These 1,000 cold calls and emails ain't gonna work. Let me build an infrastructure where I'm just as valuable as you are, and we're generating leads together. And it just didn't happen. So I put all my trust into that. I was doing 14, 15-hour days. I was doing the podcast, the clips, and doing sales proposals, RFP responses, all of that stuff, legal contracts, all of those things, right? So it was just a lot, right? So it just made me be like, man, I got to protect myself at all times, just like a boxer. It's not that I can't trust my own people, but I got to protect myself.
That's where I was going to. I'm glad you said that because I was going to say, is it that you can't trust your own people or that you have to put in protections
at all times? Got to treat business as business. Like even with that, it was like I was just at work at that time. So I'm like, I'm an employee with you. I'm doing something extra. And then it kind of exploded. It went from talking to SEO people to talking to CEOs and business leaders. And it was like, whoa, this thing is really morphing into something else. You know what I mean? So I didn't see it going the way it was going to go. I just thought
I've made those same mistakes of, even in HR situations, of assuming that because you look like me, that we have an unwritten trust with each other. And then And it's been a hard lesson that I keep trying to learn, that is not necessarily the case. But I don't want to to your point, Chad, I don't want to put everybody in one box.
No, for sure.
That's really fair, like everyone is a certain way. And
no, there's a lot of great people.
It's not that, but Judy, our behaviors from our learned life experiences, correct?
Yes.
So a lot of the times, the problem that I have with society is society can't make up its goddamn mind. It wants to straddle the fence all the time because you don't want to seem insensitive, but you want to be politically correct. It's like, pick a fucking side. You're too scared to pick a side and stand on the side, win, lose, or draw. You understand? Here's the thing. You don't want, what do they say? Don't judge a book by its cover, right? You don't want me to judge you by your cover. Okay. You want me to take the time to get to know you, Okay. That takes time to build, right?
Yes.
It takes time to build those relationships, right? But if I walk in the door and I'm the only one that looks like me, when you walk in the door, instead of embracing you, because now I'm not going to judge you by this, I'm going to say, well, you know what, Judy, I need to get to know you. God knows however long that's going to take. And then a lot of wasted time and opportunities can be passed by.
Yeah.
You got to make up your mind. You understand? Now, if you want to lead with love, you said lead with love. So let's lead with love. If you walk in the room and I'm the only one in the room and now it's two of us in the room, you get this. Judy, baby.
Yes.
I'll give you a hug. You now the sis, and I'm going to lead with the love. You see, I'm going to embrace you and I'm going to say, let's get busy. It's two of us now. Let's form like Voltron. You see what I'm saying? You got to make up your mind. You want to lead with love? You see what I'm saying? Or you want to build the trust? Because a lot of the times what happens with us, because we've been so hurt, because we keep carrying trauma from things that have happened to us generationally, every time something major, like him getting fired from that job or quitting or toxic environment or what I went through, it jades you.
Yeah, that's true.
The next situation you get to, or the next person that might remind you of a situation, you're not going to want to help no more.
Right.
And then you end up becoming the thing you hate the most, which is the gatekeeper.
Right.
See?
So let me, if I may, I want to point out what leading with love looks like. Okay. in my because sometimes people think leading with love means being soft or the hug or being welcoming, which yes, but it also means in those rooms where you're the only, you're speaking up, you're there in support of that person. You see something that's not happening right with that person, you're going to do something to help make it right. So you use your voice. That's part of leading, with love. Leading with love is, oh man, Chad, I know that you want to, meet XYZ, or you want to be, looking for a certain client. Well, I know so-and-so who knows so-and-so. I'm going to try to connect you, and vice versa. So leading with love means I'm going to help you be your best, do your best, get to your best, and we're going to help each other. It's action associated with it. So
I'm with you 120%, and I'm telling you personally, just like my cousin has just told you, like I told you, I'm not the play around guy. Like I'm the direct guy. You understand? When I walk in the room or I'm in position, that I move unequivocally one way. Oh, I'm here now. I got control of the crew. Give me the 10 best black and brown. My whole crew. I'm moving one way and one way. Oh, because I don't care how it looks. I don't care how I want it to look.
I love it.
I don't care. See, it's make up your mind. Either we're gonna help or we're gonna pretend we want to help.
So how did you get to? Were you always like that, Chad? Or how did you get to? I don't care, because that takes some courage. Being brave, being bold, having confidence.
You know what? It's the lifestyle that I lived growing up. I grew up living a very rough lifestyle where emotions were considered like a weakness. Not that I don't have them, but I'm very in touch with when to show them and how to show them. You understand? And fear where we grew up at, you would not make it if you were fearful. I'm telling you, right? An environment that how you say, like nurtured fear, right? Yeah. You had to go out there every day with your head up, your chest out, like I'm not. You gotta listen to him. You can learn something. So
he talking.
It starts with that, and then I'm also a military guy. I'm a Marine, right? I see what the armed services do to us when we go. I see how we're treated when we're in the military, and I see even more how we're treated once we're not a part of that system anymore. So after you've gone through so many instances, like, okay, let me get this straight. So I put my life on the line for you. I've gone across seas and I've been in war zones, blah, blah, blah. And then I come home and it's like, oh, you're not in no more? No services, no help, no nothing. You understand? It's only so many times you can keep giving of yourself, right? Pouring, and then kind of get like thrown away and feel like they're just throwing you away before that compassion just nosedive. You're like, you know what? Okay, I understand now. So let's run it this way. You understand? Let's run it this way, because it's like we're not winning it the other way anyway.
Doing it that way.
No, we're not winning that way anyway, right? So that's all I'm saying, Judy, right? We help people, right? Let me tell you something. We help people at sometimes the detriment to ourselves. Just look at this platform right now. Jarrett could very easily, with his knowledge, his experience, right, go back to a corporate job, high six figures. I'm 22 years in what I was doing. I could go back, renew a license, go back, high six figures. We left high six figure jobs. I'm telling you this. You understand? To do what? To give a voice for the culture. So right now we're preaching exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. We're leading by example. We're saying, yeah, we could go make a lot of money and we can be good and be like, well, I'm good and my cousin good. And if you're not good, you got to step your game up. But we're not doing that. We're saying, you know what? We're going to struggle with you guys. Look, we're going to struggle with you, right?
We're going to figure it out.
We're going to figure it out together, right? But watch here go the together part, right? Now we've been doing this a year or two. We got businesses. We do this, we do that. And then we start to get the numbers on who's actually supporting us and helping us out. And then you look at the numbers and go, oh, we're supporting you guys and we're together with you guys. But when it comes to supporting us, that's not the demographic that's supporting us. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing.
We literally said that like 2 episodes ago. We have 80%, Black leaders and Black talent come on the show.
Yep.
We have a business, an agency. We haven't done business with a Black company yet.
Not one.
So I wonder if we was to switch it and do an experiment, and if we had 80% of a different race on, what would those opportunities look like?
Yep.
What do you think?
I think we know the answer.
About trying it. You know what? If you try and it doesn't work, at least we can say we know the answer. You see? See?
Yeah, because it's a lot. It's a lot of Don't get us wrong. Like, there's no knock to any of the guests. Like, we love everybody to come on the show. Like, you do what you can. The relationship take time to build and things like that. But sometimes it's just like, just don't say something. Say you're gonna do something and not have the capability to do it, or try to say you're gonna, you know what I mean? Like, or leaders on it. Just sometimes it's the small things. Just like in a post. Hey, I know somebody would be great for your show. I just had a great time. Shout out to Dante, man. When Dante was the first episode of this season, called 3 people. Why we finished? As soon as we finished, boop, I got a great show for you guys. Great show for you guys. Connectors with Jay Alexander, William Benson, bunch of people. And it was like, wow, that's amazing. That's all we need. Sometimes that's all you need.
Do people on the show know, like what I know, okay, what's the script? What can I do to be helpful? I mean, how do you let people know? Or is it supposed to be organic?
Both. It's both. Because we talk about so many things on this show. One of the things we talk about is the opportunities of what we're doing to help our community. We're bringing people on the show to educate the community, but we're bringing you on for a reason also, because we can help in how we get that message too. And maybe we can help you get that message out, or, whatever company you're working with in general. So it's always 2 parts. We're not, there's a lot of successful people that we could bring on this show that we say no to. There's we not being funny. Jarrett started the show first. 1 guest a week, Thursdays. 1 season, 2 season. I came on mid-season 3. We were still doing seasons, 14 to 15 episodes, then taking a 2-3 month break and then coming back. As of season 4, there was no more seasons. No more seasons. It's just episodes, because the demand to come on the show is overwhelming now, right? And we go from 1 show a week to now 2 shows a week. So we go live Tuesdays and Thursdays now.
Wow.
This week alone, we're going to have 4 shows this week. 4. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we have not missed a show in 102 episodes.
Wow.
Damn, man. That shit. That's crazy.
I'm just, you understand what I'm saying, Judy? So, and then I'll give you a little bit more content. Every person that's come on our show, we do 2 things. The first thing we do is we get their private number and we create a group chat between us 3, right? Because what we do after that is we say, you've been the, let's say, 102nd person to come on the show. Congratulations, you now have access to 101 previous guests that you might not have never met, but anybody that has come on our show is now your community. We offer it to you right off the bat.
Yeah,
there's anybody on this show. or that has been on the show that you want to connect with, that you might want to throw an idea to, you let us know. We've connected so many people. It's ridiculous, right? I'm talking immediately. I'm not talking 2-3 weeks. I'm talking within 48 hours. You're getting an email or a conference call. And once we connect, you know what we do? We walk away.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you should meet so-and-so. So-and-so meet so-and-so. We think you guys will be great for each other. Have a good day. And we walk away, right? That's the first thing we do. The second thing we do is we talk about the programs and we have future conversations, because this is only your first time on the show, but it's not going to be your last, right? This is the introduction to the village, but we have to build, right? The trust has to be built, but it has to go both ways.
Yes. Okay.
And that's what we're saying. It has to go both ways.
Yeah.
So when we're offering all these services for free, when we're offering all these products for free, when we're being the Clarence Avon and connecting all these people for free, the only thing that we're asking you to do is just be honest and stop the bullshit. If you can't do nothing, just don't say anything, and you still can have access to everything.
And we still friends, still be cool, all that.
You can still build. The problem that we have, especially with our own people, is, I don't know if it makes you feel better to be like, oh, I know so-and-so, I can make the connection, or I got this and I could do that for you and I could do this. And then we go, do us a favor. Don't say it, because we're going to hold you accountable to it.
Right.
And then you don't do it. Then you wonder why we don't do what you like. You understand this is the problem that we're having.
It's good that you say that up front, right? I mean, it seems that you do. So you set the rules so I think people realize, okay, so I've got to be, work with integrity when I talk to you.
Yep.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
So what would you like, not by name, but what would make you say no to someone, to be someone's, oh, I want to be on your show? You said there's something you would say no to. What?
We had, me and my cousin have been debating. You don't have to say a name, but me and my cousin were debating about a guest for the last week. And
was it Trump? No, just kidding.
We actually talked about that when we had him. we had that talk.
You know what I mean?
But what would be the qualities that would make you say, nah, Jarrett, no, or Jarrett to say to Chad, I don't think so?
Right off the bat, I just said to you, we brought you on the show, and the first thing we do is we give you flowers. We list the accolades that you have done throughout your career, right? Most of the people that we interview on the show are C-suite individuals, right? You are high level. Now, not to say that we don't interview people of lower level, but if we're going to introduce you to somebody, we're going to introduce you to somebody with respect, right? Meaning we respect what you've been through, we respect where you've gotten, and we respect your time. I'm not going to waste my time and bring somebody on the show, because once I bring you on the show, I'm going to offer you the same thing I offered everybody else. I don't straddle the fence, right? I keep the line. But why would I bring somebody on a show that I know has no value to the other 102 people that would be like, I don't want to talk to this person? Not give my number to this person. You understand? Like, so right off the bat, it's a two-way street, right? Can you bring value to the community, but does the community look at you and see value?
Right.
So that's and this is where we differ, right? Because I figured, like, why not? Because that's the whole premise of the show, more than a title. What if you come on and then we get a whole different vibe and perspective from you, right? Somebody that just came home from jail or something like that, and they're building an audience or something like that, right? He may not be the best person like within our network, but he also still has value because he's doing something. He could be out here doing God knows what. So that's more than a title. So that's part of the brand. So that's the kind of conversation we have is like, all right, do we want to stay to this? How do we expand the brand? How do we try to go mainstream? Things like that. We don't want to be clickbait. We've got so many clips of that could have been out of here that we just name it, we'd be on the nice tip. We're not saying Beyonce. We're not saying this one's name. We're not saying this. Let's be politically correct and not ruin the relationship. And that's what we're on.
Right. But, Judy, and remember, right? So for me, I'm a big energy person. Right? You ever get around somebody or just hear somebody or kind of, and like that energy hits you and you're like, oh. You know what I mean? If I get around a person or, feel a person's vibe and get that repel mode, it's really nothing to talk about. Like, we would really have to organically be somewhere that you have to just show me for me to even think about considering having a conversation with you.
Would you tell that person, you know what, I don't get your vibe, or it's not clicking, or would you give feedback?
I always do. I get in trouble. I get in trouble for that all the time because people. I was on the phone earlier and somebody was like, "Chaddy, you are really like blunt. And I'm like, do you actually know what I do in a day? Like, you understand, Judy? Like, do you actually know what I do?
That's refreshing. We want more people. I would want more people to be that way. Save time.
Right.
Save
I'm like,
time.
As long as you're respectful.
Yeah. No. But again, Judy, right? Respect is how you view respect, right? Because we had this conversation on the last show. So many people attach emotion to the truth that because you don't want to hear what's being said, you know it's true, but you might not want to hear it. You might look at that as disrespect because you want to put your guard up because you just don't want to hear what the truth is. Cousin was saying a couple things on the show, last show. Listen, this is the way I am. Guess what? If you don't like it, you can walk away.
Right.
I'm not being disrespectful, but guess what? I'm not showing you a representative. See, make up your mind. Do you want the real me 100% all the time, or do you want me to introduce the representative to you and then kind of like slide in later? You got to make up your mind. You got to make up your mind. You know what I mean? So, of course we tell them. You know? Of course we tell them, because all business is not good business, Judy. And I'm pretty sure you have been in business long enough to look at some clients or look at some companies that you'll be like, no, they do not align with what we're doing.
And two of them look like me as well.
Thank you. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Right. It doesn't matter what you look like. It's like, we will not deal with you, because again, you have to protect the brand that you fought so hard to build.
Yeah,
absolutely. If you have to protect,
I have to protect my peace.
Yes. And that's what message. I couldn't get to it. That's the song. Message.
So,
I was gonna say that's a good segue, because I would love to, as an entrepreneur, what are some of the obstacles that you've overcome when you built your business? You were at big organizations, you had a holding co. Your name is great in the industry. You know, what made you, like, was there one incident that made you step out, and what was one of the obstacles that you faced when you started?
You know, my story is unusual because my obstacle was myself.
Okay, that's real.
It was, you know, I mean, when I went into my last role at WPP, I went in it saying, I'm going to be in this role for 3 years, and then I'm going to go into my own business. And I said it publicly. I said it on podcasts. I said it so much, my husband said, you better stop telling people that, because I want you to, we need money. You know? But I kept saying it. And then 2 years went by, 3 years went by, 4 years went by, and I was afraid. You know, I grew up, you know, not with, you know, lost my parents at 16. And, you know, those things, you know, Chat's point earlier, you know, those things don't go away. They help create who you are and create whether it's your confidence or your insecurities. No. And so I was nervous about that big paycheck, that big bonus, but yet I had this desire. So my obstacle was my own insecurities. Once I got out there and finally said, okay, it's now or never. And the catalyst for me was my daughter graduating. She's now getting her MBA. My daughter graduated from college.
Gonna get out of air horn. You give it a double. Give it a double.
Like, I got to do this thing. And I had so many people support me. My challenge was, I felt that, you know, who gonna be my clients? Who's gonna hire me? What am I? And without trying, people from 25 years ago, when I put something on LinkedIn that, you know, I'm out on my own. Judy, I remember you from BBGO. You know, I know you do this sponsorship program. Could you do it for us at this company? One of my mentors, and I'm going to say his name, Darryl Lee, who's now the CEO of McCann. I worked for him when I was at IPG. I had lunch with him when I was leaving WPP, and he said, I got your back. What do you need? I said, well, I want to do this program. So let me introduce you to our head of DE&I and blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to make it sound like it's not hard, but I will say that the hard work was all the years that I put in to build the reputation for people to open the door. Method. So that was the hard work. So with my daughter, who's, she's doing her internship and she's getting her MBA, I tell her that this is when you're creating your brand. This is when you're creating those relationships. You're creating now what's going to take you into the future. And so my challenge was myself. That was my challenge. And I had to get over that and believe in myself. And Chad, unlike you to some degree, believe in people, because I believed that people would not be helpful. I mean, you reaching out to me was like, why are you reaching out to me? You know,
you come highly recommended. Shout out to Walt Gear and the team.
I said, who are these people and why do they want me? And he said, why wouldn't they? I'm like, well,
why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we want you? Why not?
But, you know, my own insecurities of like, why would you? You know, when I met with like Daryl, I had lunch with him in January, and I said to him, my husband was curious about why, you know, what was the purpose of the breakfast, and he said, well, why do we have to have a purpose? But you know, like we're friends, and you know, my husband would say, but he's CEO of McCann. Yeah, and I told Daryl, this is very honest with my conversation with my husband, because you no longer work there. You know, it's been like 10 years, but. That's when I said it's about relationships that have to go beyond the work, getting to know people, getting to see like what you do is how do you help people reach their goal or reach their true potential or whatever it is. And when you do that with sincerity, I do believe it comes back. Maybe not with every single person, but I believe karma's a bitch and karma's a present and that it will come back to you in some way. So for me, it's come back to me. People have surprised me to be better than and more genuine than I thought they would be, more genuine than I assumed that they would be. And it's been a blessing. So my obstacle again was myself.
I got a question if you wouldn't mind answering it. So you spoke about stepping out on your own and you had given yourself a timeline. 3 years, I'm going to do this. And then I feel like I'll be in position to step out on my own, right? Your husband, if you don't mind speaking about him, because we're big on family dynamic and we're big on how does success, what does it look like in terms of the family dynamic, especially when you're moving into the entrepreneurial space, right? So now, is your husband an entrepreneur?
No, my husband, he retired early. Okay. So here's the deal. My husband was the kind of guy, he worked at the New York Times for 27 years. Okay. My husband would look at his watch, it's 4:55. Oh, better get ready to get to that elevator.
right there. And oh man, see, the universe. I'm glad you said it exactly that way, because my point that I was getting to, and I'm glad you said it that way, is when you're at a job, you can turn the job off. You clock in, you clock out. When it's time to clock out, you can say, listen, y'all don't pay for this phone. Don't call me and you walk out. But as an entrepreneur, there are no holidays, right? There is no vacation, right? Especially when you're just starting out, right? There is no 8-hour workday.
There's a lot of entrepreneurs in companies, and I was an entrepreneur. And it's the same, you bring that same logic that you bring to an entrepreneur. It prepares you. So for me, 4:55, I'm just getting started working at a company. Right. And for my husband, so we were in different, we looked at work differently. Work was my passion. Work was my calling. Work for him was a job. Right? It was a good job, good paying job, but it was a job. So, so it worked out great because we had a daughter. She was 7 at the time. And, my husband, we switched roles. My husband could be home and, give her the nurturing she needed. And I can travel, do global work and, have quality time. But I was the one that, was out there. And it took a minute because as a Black man, he was concerned about, how's this going to work? I'm home. The ego around that. But, after a while, he got pretty comfortable smoking his cigar.
What's his name?
John. Jay, remember Jonathan? Jay Jackson.
Okay, listen, John, I'm going to put this up for you first, John.
We got to pay some bills. We'll be right back.
Right now, I'm at the point in my life where I will stay home. Anybody looking for a young-ish, taken care of,
strong like ox.
Yeah, but we have a kid too, so you got to make sure that kid.
I have no ego. I will fold the clothes. I will do the laundry. I will mop the floors. I'm ready to stay home.
My middle name is Stedman. I would be Stedman. I would do it. It's hard out here.
If there's an agency out there right now I will put together a resume. I am not putting together submitting a resume.
But you have to have, I mean, and you have to be a strong man, a strong Black man. Because, you know, and he is like the best father in the world. Right. And, you know, I mean, I'll tell you a quickie little story. When my daughter was 5, I came home, or I guess she was, around 5. Maybe she was probably 7, a little older, because my husband was obviously at home. And I came home and I said, I've been traveling. I said, I am so tired. And my little girl said, Mommy, why are you so tired? Daddy has to take me to school, pick me up from school, and help me with my homework. He's got 3 jobs.
Hey, man.
Right.
I was like, I want to kill that little girl. But anyway, I was like, okay, you're right. Your daddy works hard. You're right. You're right, Janae. Your daddy works hard. So, I mean, he did his job with our child. I mean, she is who she is because of the both of us, but I have to put a lot of credit to him. And
I think you're gonna give it a horn.
No, I was about to.
The horns for that.
No, I was on mute. I went to mute and I was going to the horn.
Absolutely, man. Because what I will say, Judy, is, and again, we talk, and it is so important to have these conversations because they actually, if you're willing to listen and learn, you actually learn so much, right? We talk about this all the time from a child's point of view, especially the way we grew up. Most of us in the neighborhoods grew up without a father figure. So mommy was everything, right? So we only understood mommy kind of taking care of everything, right? So we wasn't instilled with the guy stay home type of a situation because what's being instilled in us is we got to go out there and get that money to provide because our family like this, right? So for a long time, I didn't understand the true magnitude of what it actually took to be a stay-home wife or stay-home mom and take care of a kid and take care of the house. Like that is a full-time job. Like that actually should come with a salary. I'm not being funny. Like full-time job. And you don't understand it until you actually get older, right? Live through some things. And for me, my oldest son, I got custody of him when he was very young. Like 1.5. So he's always lived with me.
Oh,
wow. When I became that, I was like, oh.
Wow.
Uno call. Reverse.
On my part, I would not have guessed that listening to you.
Really?
That's sad on my part. Because you seem like you're always out there. You seem like you're really busy. You're out there, making things happen. So do you have time? But how do you make it work?
Well, it's balance, and it's like you said, it's the community, right? It's the community, like Jarrett, right? We're family, right? And we just so happen to live really close to each other, right? So you can I come drop them off for a minute?
Also, it's Jarrett.
We gotta help
you play a key role too.
Yeah, we're family, so we're family, but our family, we have big families collectively. So I will not discredit the power of my village, right? So yes, I went to work, and in the morning I would drop him off to to daycare and stuff, and he would go to school, and then I would come home, and if I had to do overtime, then somebody would pick him up for me, and then I would go get him. And you cannot do both, right? And that's the reality of the situation, right? Yeah. Nobody can do both. You can't be the breadwinner, right? And then get 9 to 5 is one thing, but once you start climbing that ladder, we know 9 to 5 does not exist. So you can't be the breadwinner and be at home and be responsible for the daily teachings and the upbringing and the family. You can't do both.
Right.
Can't do both.
Right.
The village is everything. So you try to find the balance, and if you have a village to support you, it's phenomenal. If you don't, it becomes a true struggle.
Yeah.
And you pay what have to be made, right?
Yeah. I'm very lucky that my husband, I had to convince him that his job was offering, sometimes they get 12 or whatever years ago, offer these packages of sign up now to leave. We'll help you. And I told him
the early retirement. That's the what's the name of that? It's almost like a buyout. It's almost like a buyout program because my grandmother did that. Yeah, my grandmother.
So they give you like double of what you might have normally gotten. And I said, and he had been there 27 years, so that's pretty substantial. So I said, you know, take it, do it, you know, make our lives better in the long run. And it really did. So, yeah, I'm glad we did it.
Shout out to both of y'all, man.
Shout out Jackson.
Nah, shout out. Let's get him a hold on. Get a horn. Get a horn. That's a fact.
Psychologically, as a culture, we are programmed to the norm where the man is supposed to be the breadwinner. Now we are seeing that a lot more women are like, you stay home. I'm getting to the bag, right? But it takes a very special man to be open-minded about we're building. She makes more money than me. I have no problem. Ladies and gentlemen, if you make more money than me, I have no problem. More money than me. I will support you. I will iron your clothes in the morning. I had them slacks creased down the middle, the bacon, eggs, and cheese, and avocado toast. I don't care.
Avocado toast? Okay.
Avocado toast, have some, what do you call it, green chai tea ready for you, whatever you need.
Got too far.
But
I'm with you, baby.
A problem within our society where a lot of men are very resentful of women, right? That do better than them economically, right? Yeah. It's a big problem for them. Can you talk about that?
I mean, we, you know, only in the sense that, you know, my husband went through that concern for about a year. And then he got to see I think he got to see how it worked so well for our daughter. And he got to enjoy it. Like my husband, you know, and my husband, I think, makes a better parent than I do. I think I make a great parent. I think I make a great role model for my daughter. But in terms of having the patience to watch SpongeBob all day long, or to, you know, he can see the same, you know, some kids want to see the same show over and over and over. Yeah. You know, my husband could do that as many hours as it takes. He has patience beyond belief. The role was suited for him. I don't know if I can talk about other people or other relationships other than I recognize that it's hard. I recognize that some people in the beginning looked at us funny, you know, and questioned how we're doing this and why. But eventually people got to see how happy I was and how not only great he was at what he was doing, but how great our child was. So, I think people follow your example, but I think people follow what they see of you. Like if you're comfortable with something, eventually people get comfortable with that. If people get comfortable with Chad telling them the way it really is, eventually they go, okay, well, you know, that's just the way it is with, you know, Chad. I mean, people eventually, I think you train people to think the way you need them to think. Or if not, they move out of your life.
Can I add something? I would say, why do we? I just think we need to be open-minded as individuals, just as Black couples, right? Like, and who cares what anybody else thinks if it works for y'all? We need to stop putting so much credence to what other people think, which comes to your household. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a big problem for Black men, right? So it's like, so I can't, you know, obviously couldn't speak, you know, for other situations, but me as a Black man, I don't care what nobody thinks. What we do and how we get our shit together here is what we doing, right? Maybe sometimes I'm up. Most of the time I am. Sometimes I'm down. And if I am down, you need the support system. So it's just, you got to have that balance. And Hayes just said it too. He said, if your woman doesn't make you feel less than or throw it in your face when it's convenient, I don't see the problem. But it's got to be a two-way street though. And you can't, when you're making the money, you can't be.
Absolutely.
I mean, you also have people in your ear. I know as a woman, in the beginning, I had people in my ear,
sure.
You know, telling me what should be and what shouldn't be. And it took me a minute to realize that I didn't need those voices in my ear. Absolutely. But it does, I don't know if that's courage or confidence or just believing, you know, I used to tell people, put a wall around your love, around your relationship, and don't let people in unless you both agree that person should be in, you know, inside that wall. But I do think it's important to keep a cushion around your relationships and protect it. Because people, for whatever their reasons are, could be well-intentioned, might not be, but we'll have those voices, and you have to find the courage, the strength, or be steadfast to do what you feel works well for you.
That's it. That's real.
Yeah. So Tanny from Instagram had a comment. She says she agrees. Your marriage is your marriage. Most people giving advice don't have a solid relationship themselves.
You know, that's what my husband used to say. Look at the people who are giving you the advice. What's the situation?
Right. Yeah.
You're right.
You know, I can agree with you, Tanny. You make an absolute valid fact. But I gotta play devil's advocate, right? Some advice is not relationship based. It is common sense based. How about that?
Message.
I don't have to be married to ride the common sense train. You understand?
Right.
The problem is my common sense train goes local. It makes all the stops. Some people common sense train goes express. There's the other podcast.
We were flowing too. God damn you.
Miss Jackson will not be on your show. God damn it. There's the other podcast. You're trying to interrupt us. So I'm just saying, Tanny, some advice is human being advice, right? And whether you're in a relationship and you want to admit it to yourself or not, right? A lot of times when you're in the relationship, you're inside the relationship. So a lot of things that go on, because you're so used to it, you become oblivious to it. It becomes your learned behavior to accept the situation as is. Now, somebody outside the situation can very easily say, hey, I don't know if you should accept that. Not because they want to destroy your relationship, but maybe they're just thinking about, as a human being, should you be treated in a certain manner that I don't think you really like to be treated like that. It's up to you to take that advice with a grain of salt and say, is this from a genuine person that, you know, has love for me and wants me to do better? Or, you know, is this from somebody that's just trying to break it up for whatever reason? So that's all I'm saying, right? You know, some people's common sense train, bing bong, next stop, 149.
That's it. A lot of stops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
shout out to y'all, man. That's just first of all, I think you're the first woman leader that we had on that was married.
Really?
Black woman, yeah. As far as in the DEI space, stuff like black woman
that's still married, right?
No, because we asked that question a lot, right? Because once again, it's the black family, black love, like relationship things. Is, you know, for you to be in your relationship and climbing the ladder, it takes a certain individual to understand what that climb looks like.
Yes.
And understand and have that support. So if I have somebody, when the roles are reversed, and have somebody do that, that is so dope. We don't do that enough. So like we want to keep the black family together. So all that shit is dope to me. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the entire family.
You know, this is why we see when you ask that question, why me? There it is right there. Because listen to that phenomenal family story that you have. Listen to the phenomenal you have been maybe one of the only ones that said, I went to work and my husband stayed home and raised a child. And guess what? He might be you have probably been the only person in 100 episodes to say that on this show.
Wow.
See? So now, once again, the culture gets to hear it from a successful black woman that guess what? It is possible for you to be successful and you be the breadwinner, and for you to have a partner who's so supportive that they can take care of the household. And it can
work.
And it can work.
Well, you know what? My husband was my best friend for 15 years, before we got married. Okay. And so he knows me. He's seen me date. He's been the person that I would talk about other people with, you know what I mean? He was my confidant. So much so that when, you know, he wanted us to have a relationship, I said, like, man, you're like my brother. I mean, I can't, that'd be incest. But eventually we got to the right place.
He put him in the friend zone. He friend zoned him.
I friend zoned him. I did.
He was in the friend zone.
You know what it is? Like when you're like just coming out of college and you meet somebody, what you're looking for at 21 is different than when you're at 31. I'm sorry, it just is. You know, my husband had a Toyota Corolla. Yeah.
Toyota's a good car.
Hold on,
it's
Judy.
Reliable.
Don't take me to the Olive Garden, Judy. Don't be one of those. You take me to the Olive
Garden. Come on, Chad. Come on. This is 21. So, you know, I mean, he was just a nice guy. He was a nice guy. I mean, he was just a nice guy. I would introduce him to friends, and I said, you know, he's a nice guy that I'd love for you to meet. Not for me, but he might be good for you. Right. And not to get too personal, but I know a friend of mine that liked my husband when, you know, in my early 20s and dated him. And my husband would take, you know, my friend, I guess at the time, would take them to dinner and do other things. And he's like, but he won't go further than that. You know,
real.
He friend zoned her.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Chad?
He friend zoned her.
No. Now he's from a different mindset. He was like, I need to know you.
Right. Wait. Hey.
Before
Hayes, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. Hayes had this to say, Judy. Uh-oh, Hayes, you about
when
to
they say that's my brother.
When they say that's
it takes one good joke, brother. One good joke.
Hayes said, don't bring that brother shit around me. Wait, let me segue that real quick. We had Danny Benson on the show the other day, and she made a comment exactly like that. She calls it corny. Danny, I'm gonna use your line.
Yeah.
You want to smile right now? She said, no, listen. There's no more corny guys. The other podcast. She's like, there's no more corny men. I'm like,
oh.
I'm like, who the fuck wants to be corny anyway, right? So she's like, no. The guy that's the nerd, right? The guy,
yes,
respect that courts you properly and takes. She's like, it's not a lot of guys. So she uses the term corny. So that's what you're talking about, right?
Was
And he uses
respectful. Still pull out your chair. I mean, early in his 20s, pull out your chair for you. All those things. Mm-hmm. Now his brother was totally opposite, so it's not like it was in his DNA. But yeah, he was just. He's still this, and he's the same. He's the same way now. Who he was then is just consistent.
That's
so,
right.
I don't know what the question was.
The question was, but I know. Don't introduce me to your friends. If you like me, you come back with a Jordan face.
You see, when we have. Look, Tanny is agreeing. Tanny said, yes, corny is good in capital letters, good.
Until the thug brother that's talking that shit.
But that can be sexy. That can be sexy. That thug brother can be sexy at a certain point in your life. After a while, that's no longer sexy.
Some thugs that are 45.
That's
it's disgusting. But now I love where we was going with that. Definitely shout out to you. Thank you for being so transparent, Queen. Like real talk. That's stories that we.
No, you guys are fun. You guys are fun. You guys are cute and fun.
Appreciate you, Queen. And we didn't get to talk about the DEI stuff. I wanted to talk about that because that's it's huge right now. First of all, with the DEI mayor of Baltimore, what the hell is that? I didn't read the article yet, but you saw with the bridge. First of all, shout to
the bridge.
Prayers to everybody who lost their life, and that is so tragic.
Yeah, the six people that lost their lives. I know my niece, one of my sisters, she lives in Baltimore, and so, but luckily she wasn't impacted by that.
Is it it looked like a major bridge? Like we got like 6 bridges.
Apparently it's pretty major. Apparently, I think, what did they say that it's a bridge that. For some reason, cars, I guess cars that they're selling, car companies, they use that to transport. And it's going to take possibly more than a year to fix it.
The thing with Baltimore is probably the busiest hub when it comes to receiving like heavy equipment, farm equipment, tractor trailers, things of that nature.
Cars and
that route that they travel is integral to moving things mainly based like agricultural things, farm things, that it's going to tear up the economy, right? It's going to tear up the economy because now you got to remember when you're traveling a certain path, right? You have to travel a certain path, especially when you're carrying things like hazardous material, gas and things of that nature, because certain trucks and things cannot get on these smaller parkways. Right? You have to get on the highway. So now that with that bridge being out of commission, they have to reroute. You already know everything is time is money. So now by them having to reroute and do that, it's going to take longer to get to this and that. And the price is going to, you'll see, it's going to be a big economic fallout behind that. But I'm just going to say, that wasn't a mistake. I watched the video. And the angle in which that boat approached the bridge and then kind of turned to hit that didn't look like a mistake. I'm just
really.
You see the full video. If you see the full video, the boat did not hit the bridge straight on like this. Okay, the boat was traveling this way and then made a sharp turn and then went right into the support. That's number one. Number two, the Baltimore harbor system is super complex to navigate. when you're a maritime person that's bringing a ship or anything in there, to my understanding, you have to have a local maritime person that knows how to navigate that on your ship at all times. Like you have to hire one of the local maritime guys to be on you to help you navigate those waters because it's so complex. So, it's just a lot. You know what I mean? It didn't look like the boat had power. It looked like all the lights. It just looked very, very suspect.
Well, I'm glad that, 6 people died, but luckily there were no cars on the bridge. Luckily they did a May Day ahead of time. Luckily it was 1:30 in the morning. So
I'm talking about the DEI mayor.
Yeah, and Baltimore we're talking about, right?
Yeah, well, what is a DEI mayor?
But isn't the Baltimore a young black guy?
Yeah, he's young, but the governor and the mayor.
Right.
So they just labeled him DEI mayor. He's the mayor.
I didn't hear that they labeled him the DEI mayor.
On CNN, all across a lot of platforms when they put his name up.
Why did they?
That's why I'm like, was it a specific role? Or they put it like a corporation? And what the hell? What is it?
I have to check that out because there's no such thing as a DEI mayor.
That's what they was kidding on Twitter. That's what the big thing was. That was the trending topic.
And I'm gonna put this out there. Maybe the driver was tired or fatigued because you don't know how long they command these boats and what kind of crew they were working with. I'm just saying that's a hell of a mistake. That's a hell of a mistake.
They do happen.
That's a hell of a mistake.
Yeah.
But I would like to believe that it was a mistake.
I would like to believe.
And you know what? And I'm not being funny, Judy, but the country would love for you to believe that a lot of things that are mistakes. I'm just Judy. I am just honest. How can we, if we don't educate ourselves seriously, right, in anything that we are doing, right? It took you a long time to learn your job, perfect your job so that you could advance in your job. Education is always education, whether formal or on the job, it's still education, right?
Yeah.
We don't educate ourselves on actually what's going on, which is right in front of our face, and what's going on for the things that we cannot see that's going on, then we are putting ourselves in a very dangerous position.
You're right.
And it's no way you said position. Position?
No, you say put yourself in a very dangerous tone.
That's dangerous though.
It's a Diddy era. Dangerous is Diddy.
No Diddy.
We're not going there. We're not going there.
I didn't like it, Judy.
No Diddy.
I didn't like the tone.
We're not going there. Guys, listen, we're going to have a hard stop in a minute.
Got you.
No problem. So, Jack, you got a couple more questions for?
Go ahead. I thought you were saying something.
No. She said, I think she's saying we come up.
All right, I do. Well, one final question I would like to ask: What the best advice would you give to young black professionals trying to get into advertising and marketing agency? I mean, or just the tech industries right now. What's the best advice?
To any industry, I think it's the same advice I tell my daughter, to start building those relationships early, to make sure you know that what you're building now is in fact your resume. Particularly in our industries where people buy who you are, first before they buy your experience.
Message.
Mm-hmm.
They buy, even now, junior jobs, senior jobs, if someone sees I'm connected to someone on LinkedIn, they'll call me and say, Judy, what do you really think of Jarrett? Regardless of, what his background is, who you are speaks louder than your resume or anything else, how you treat people day to day. My first job I got because I was in a hair salon on a Saturday. And I was like 21, 22 years old. And there was this black woman that came in the hair salon, very upset, and said, my appointment is at X time. These are days when we were all going, before you had a major meeting or something, you got your hair done. This lady was, pretty upset. So I went up to her, 22-year-old. I went up to her and I said, listen, this place is great. Be patient. It's going to be fine. She's probably around in her 40s. Anyway, at the end of that Saturday, when she finally left, I said, oh, your hair looks great. Aren't you glad you stayed? She says, yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. She was apologizing for how she may have come off. So who was my interview with on Monday?
That lady.
That same woman. And did I get that job? Yes, I did. And mostly it was because I showed up as my authentic self, as a good person. And she saw that. So I always tell my daughter, you are always interviewing. You never know. You never know where something may lead. So I guess, that my advice is start building your resume through how you treat people every day. Start building your resume through how you build relationships every day. Of course, use your LinkedIn and all of that, but most importantly, build your character. While you're trying to build your skills, build your character.
Same time, man.
Double baby.
That was real.
I want to say two things. The first thing I want to say is, if you get a call and they say, "How is Chad? What should I be a stay-home?" Please, I'm all right. He's all right. He's gonna keep the house clean. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Homie, don't play that. And he don't play that.
Listen, I have your slippers ready for you at the door too.
I love it.
The New York Times, whatever you like to read. No, but seriously, I just had a question that I wanted to know. So, you've been doing this a long time now. Your daughter is furthering her education and into
getting her MBA. Mm-hmm.
Right. Are you looking to now, because you're out on your own, bring her into the business and pass the?
She already is. It was part-time, but on my website, she's my executive assistant.
Oh, there you go. I love it. There it is.
So she comes to me with events. We've done podcasts together, mother and daughter. No, she's very much a part of me and my life. And so she has a certain part of things that she's gotten from her dad, the patience, the understanding, the love of life. And she's gotten from me the core principles of business, how to build relationships, how to network. I've often felt guilty that I wasn't the one that was at home. And what she tells me is that I am so proud of you, Mom. And, I'm still not completely over the fact that I haven't always been with her. So when I was in a real book, it was just she and I. And my husband luckily understands that I need my time with just her because he's had his time with just her. But yeah, she's a part of, she likes my LinkedIn. She writes comments. I watch her LinkedIn. She goes to Adelphi. I'm on the board of one of their committees. So our lives have intertwined.
Yeah. You know what I'm feeling like, Jarrett? I'm feeling like, we need to bring her on the show too and have them both on the show. And I think that would be dope. That would be the first mother-daughter duo.
That would be
great.
I would love her together. I would
love to do that.
She's fire. She is.
So tomorrow we got Mama Loves coming on.
So
we got our moms coming.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to that accountability. I'm gonna hold you to that.
You don't have to. That's why I left. I had to open the door. My mama just walked in right there. I just brought her over because she lives in the city, so I don't live in the city anymore. I have a house upstate. I was not technologically advanced, so I'm like, okay, go get your grandmother and bring her to the house because we cannot afford for anything to go wrong. Because she's like, I don't know what.
What is this button? message.
Right. But so we appreciate your time, Judy.
Thank you
for coming on. We hope that this has been a very enjoyable experience for you.
Yes.
And like I said, in keeping with tradition, there's a private chat to the right. If you wouldn't mind putting your personal number in there, we would like to create a group chat between me, you, and Jarrett, right? That way we can further our conversations and development on this relationship. And also, we are now inviting you, if you watch the podcast or you've seen the lineup and is anybody that was a previous guest on the show that you would like to connect with, please reach out to us, so that way we can put that together for you. And, welcome to the village.
All right. I am happy to be here. Thank you, guys. You guys are much easier than I thought you'd be. I tell you, I was like,
you were scared? I know you wasn't scared, Judy. Come on now.
Come on. You home.
You guys are, I've been around a while. You guys are still, young and moving and shaking. And I'm like, I don't know. What am I going to tell these guys? But you are warm. You are real. You are loving. And you're good people. So I'm honored.
You heard that, ladies? I'm young and loving.
I was about to say the young. I'm like, I see the grays in the drink. Shit.
And I don't know if I can say I got that good hair too. I got that good natural hair.
Shout out to Olive Oil. You cut the check. Cut the check, Olive Oil. Just for you. Anybody.
All right, guys. All right, let's
ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of More Than the Title. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow we have celebrated beautiful Black women all month long. We will not end this month without celebrating our beautiful Black women, which is the women that gave us life and brought us into this world. Tomorrow we will have on the show, and I promise you, you don't want to miss that.
I drop a tear. I'm gonna drop a family like this.
I don't want to miss that. I will be there. Okay.
We love to have you. Baby.
Anything else you got for him, Jarrett?
No, just that. And Judy, once again, thank you for everybody listening. This was a cold outreach. You know what I mean? Highly recommended by our brother Walter Gear. I read up on you, I've seen everything that you've done. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being a great Black representation in corporate America. Thank you for leaving the door open for others, because what you do helps the next person come up, like your daughter, my son, and so many others. So we love you for that. We're glad to call you family. And
please do. Thank you. All right, guys. Love you much. Okay.
And we're gonna see y'all tomorrow for the 4th episode. Ain't nobody else doing 4 episodes in a week. More Than the Title.
Tired. We gonna see y'all.